Broly is still going ballistic, Goku is still nowhere to be found, and Dragon Ball Kakumei just returned with one of their biggest twists ever in this month's chapter. The apparent murder of Bulma sent chills down everyone's spine last chapter when Salaga crushed the capsule she was hiding out in while he was fighting Kaba and the others. She was supposed to be completely undetectable in this pocket dimension, but due to them being just a tad obvious, Salaga was able to figure out exactly what was going on. He knew you fellas didn't press the like button yet, but it's okay, he's gonna give you a few seconds. That's what I'm talking about. He was even able to get a hold of the capsule, and before we knew it, the device was completely destroyed. Admiral Fennel would have tears in her eyes as it seems that they failed to protect the one person they pledged to. All of a sudden, a portal manifests within Salaga's hand, however, and it starts sucking him in. I can't move, what's happening? He calls out as he's pulled into the center of the portal, and on the outside, it looks like Bulma has been ejected. So it looks like Bulma is somehow actually alright. When she appears back in the outside world, she sees Kaba and all of the others badly injured from their battle as she thanks them for protecting her. Don't worry, I'll take care of the rest, she says as she activates something on her scouter. This is when we see her newest invention known as the Hoi Poi trap closing off the portal to the inside dimension. When we take a look inside, we see Salaga getting dumped off pretty much where Bulma just was, it seems like, as he takes a look around. This is when Bulma's voice comes over the intercom. Hello, Mr. Demon, she says. Here's your favorite target from the vast lands of Sadala. What have you done to me? He demands, with her replying that his biggest mistake was thinking that she was just helpless prey. How could some vulgar earthling trap me like that? Answer me, he says. It's far from easy to get out of that Hoi Poi capsule you've just crushed with your own hands. There is, in fact, a voice command to be pronounced in Namekian, an almost dead language. Nevertheless, if someone foolishly tries to force the opening or destroy the capsule from the outside, an emergency command is activated and the assailant exchanges positions with the capsule host. And I guess your minions knew all about this, Salaga asks, but Bulma replies that that's actually not the case. We just couldn't have estimated the extent of your powers when we first met you, so there was a possibility that you had the ability to make one of them talk via your magic, hypnosis, or whatever stratagem you could come up with. I decided to keep the secret of the Hoi Poi trap capsule to myself and bet everything on you destroying it once you had it. You were one step ahead. Well done, Salaga compliments. It's amazing that someone as pathetic as you could compensate for this weakness by creating technology of this magnitude. I was actually inspired by a sealing technique from Earth called the Mafuba, she tells him, as well as the genius of the Tuffles. Without their contribution, sealing an abomination like you would have been impossible. But the result is obvious. You are trapped and there's nothing you can do about it, she says. But I think she severely underestimated these ancient warriors. You're in prison, miniaturized in this pocket dimension, she goes on, and I'm safe. Checkmate. Salaga remains as calm as ever though. Well, I admit you had me fooled, he begins. Nevertheless, you've chosen the wrong person to lock up. Do you have any idea who I am, you ignorant bastards? I am Salaga, the magician known as the Master of Dimensions, and to put this in a better perspective, basically this is like when Kurenai tried to use Genjutsu on Itachi. Salaga was never bound to this place to begin with. He appears back outside ready to finish up this pitiful fight, telling them that they're all struggling to stand up as is. You have surprised me though, and I sincerely congratulate you on that. Not many people have managed it, but the time has come to speed this up. You've wasted too much of my time. He emits a shockwave and blows Bulma away, which causes the Saiyans to freak out. She starts flying towards a portal as Salaga plans on separating her from them, flinging her inside. This is when we see Admiral Fennel helping Peppino, who then pleads with her to lend him some of her ki. Kebiya is an entity that feeds on my ki. Without energy, he's ineffective and regeneration is compromised, he says. The same applies to my twirling force attack, which is the humongous move he used in the recent chapters. Thankfully, Fennel even has enough ki left to oblige this request in the first place, and this little donation may just be enough to save all of their lives. Hey, drag queen, Caulifla calls out to get Salaga's attention. He turns around only to get flipped off right to his face, but this split second gives Peppino enough time to come flying in with a crushing kick, stunning Salaga and sending the both of them into that portal as well. Before being sent off, Peppino begs the others not to follow him. They're sent hurtling into a parallel dimension all at the same time, but before Bulma plunges into the mysterious terrain below, Peppino is able to secure her in something that almost resembles the cubes the angels use to travel at times. "You're safe in here. I'm gonna put an end to this whole charade," Peppino assures her. Now, Peppino and Salaga begin their final face-off, with Salaga warning him that they've just signed their death warrant. Here alone in another dimension which they can no longer escape from? "Don't worry about me. We're both in critical state. Let's just get this over with here and now," Peppino says as he begins to power up again, but this time they both start out at maximum power. Peppino dashes in and prepares to block Salaga's anti-space punch. "All I've got to do is create an object in front of me, so it can take the damage for me," he states. Peppino is able to land another crushing blow right to his opponent's torso. Salaga just kind of shakes it off, but he's thoroughly enraged now and kicks Peppino off of him, sending him soaring into the sky. Peppino charges at breakneck speeds next, though leaving a trail of lightning behind him as he slingshots back and lands a piercing blow to Salaga's gut. Salaga is implanted into the ground below from the force of that last attack, but when he emerges, his rage starts taking over. "You may be giving me a hard time now, but you have no idea how much magic I've acquired over the last almost 500,000 years. And I intend to show you. I'm gonna grind you into dust," Salaga says, with the most vile, bloodthirsty look on his face, reverting to something much more demonic looking now. This is Salaga's true power bursting to the surface. However, Peppino is still not impressed. Salaga goes to throw another attack, with Peppino bracing himself and crafting something hopefully strong enough to absorb the impact. However, Salaga's magic proves tricky again as the punch is thrown from the left but comes from the right, completely breaking Peppino's ankles and causing him to take a direct hit. Peppino is sent crashing into the wasteland below as Salaga chases him down mid-flight and sends him flying another direction with another punch. Even with all of the confidence he was showing prior, Peppino admits that he can't take this too much longer and begins putting up a barrier to offer him a little more protection. This is when he starts noticing a smoke infiltrating his barrier though, and using his better judgment, assumes this to be toxic. "That should get you out of the door without too much effort," Salaga says as Peppino, as expected, jumps out of the barrier to avoid inhaling whatever that smoke was. And right into Salaga's grasp he goes as the demon wraps around him like vapors and begins eating away at Peppino's very essence. It's almost kinda scary to see his life being ripped away from his face, and Bulma can do nothing but watch and wait nearby. It's a very recent technique you're undergoing, which I copied from a few creatures made of pure energies on planet Bread who wandered around with the sole aim of finding vitality to feed on. Peppino's vitality is getting ripped from his very body, but all of a sudden, Kaguya roars to life in order to disrupt and manifest a spectral punch, knocking Salaga off of him. This is when Kaguya begins regenerating and even taking it a step further and covering Peppino in this protective and solid armor, activating this new, more powerful mode we've never seen before. Even Bulma's surprised to see just how much fight he still has left in him. "Just another one of your gadgets," Salaga roars. "Know that you won't be surprising me again." "Kaguya, so you were evolving on your own all this time?" "Well, let's see how much it's worth," Peppino states. And he moves so fast that Salaga can't even follow him, and he's getting ping-ponged all over the place. But when Salaga throws another punch, he levels half the battlefield. "This ability actually hurts me." "You're brilliant, that's for sure," Salaga says, laughing hysterically. "So stop this if you can." Salaga suddenly sprouts 4 more arms and begins throwing a flurry of ultra-strong swings, keeping Peppino on his toes, but the young Tuffle hybrid is barely breaking a sweat weaving all of this guy's attacks. We gotta give him his props. Peppino has been progressing and adapting this entire time, it seems like, unbeknownst to Salaga, and he may have finally closed the gap. Salaga creates a massive supernova death ball overhead and declares that with an attack of this magnitude, Peppino has no choice but to stop this attack head on, or else it'll destroy everything in his path as well as him and Bulma. His options have just gone from slim to damn near none, as Peppino has no other option but to muster up the strength within himself to deflect this monstrous attack. "Give up. Let yourself be overwhelmed," Salaga screams at him. "I can even take your pain away if that will make your choice easier." But Peppino hasn't lost a bit of confidence even in the face of this massive attack, telling this so-called master of dimensions he's already lost. Peppino and Kaguya would shock everyone, as with a single attack, They're able to pierce directly through the wizard's biggest attack with such a concentrated force that it's even able to pierce through Saliga himself almost like a special beam cannon. He isn't supposed to be able to impact me, Saliga utters through the pain of being impaled. But of course it wasn't. He planned it all. Well done, Hybrid, Saliga congratulates shockingly. I truly must admit, you won, Saliga says as the battle over Bulma comes to one of the most shocking endings imaginable in Dragon Ball Kakumei.